Hello friends, welcome to TechPlus Lab, and today we're going to take a look at this beautiful air mouse. It's called the C120 air mouse. With the name C120 is the standard name for this. So with that name you can actually find this mouse on AliExpress or Banggood or whatever the Chinese sites that you are shopping in. And I bought this from a local Amazon online store instead, because the sole reason for that is the price on the Amazon.in is much better than the price on AliExpress. This is a rare situation. It won't be like this at all. In fact, most of the times these things will only be cheaper on AliExpress, but some sellers just give away at this price tag. And besides that, I can apply almost 50% off. That's only possible on local online stores, and AliExpress won't accept such gift cards. So I got this at a much lower price than the listings on the AliExpress overall. Even if you compare to the actual price without the gift card balance, it would still be the same as the listing on the AliExpress, if not $1 or $2 cheaper. But anyway, let's take a look inside and see what we can find inside. So let's just open it. Wow, the packing already seems so cheap. Where is the dongle? Oh, it's here. Look at this cheap toy packing. You know, those cheap plastic toys will be packed in such these wrappers. Those roadside toys. It's wrapped in such cheap quality cover. And what else do we have? We should have a charging cable, because this is a rechargeable, unlike the other one that we reviewed before. So yep, here is a leaflet and the charger. Well, only the cable, of course. A micro USB cable. Fine. And with microphone and without microphone. Yeah, there are many variants in this thing. You also get different colors, by the way, if you are getting these from Chinese retail stores. If you can't find this at this price tag on local stores, just head over to the Chinese stores as usual. They are my favorite, and you can get them at much cheaper price. So here is the dongle. A tiny usual Wi-Fi dongle. And here is the remote itself. Well, the quality doesn't seem too bad, but we should see how long this will last. And how do I actually open it? I don't need to open it, but okay, let's see about that later on. But here is the leaflet. Says the same stuff that is said on the box. Here are some specifications if you really want to look into that. Rechargeable lithium-ion battery. We need to take a look inside to see how good of a battery was that. How much mAh does it actually have? If I can open that without damaging the remote. Okay, but for this time, I think we'll stick with the review alone. So here is some pairing and hibernation guidelines. We don't need those, right? So let's check it how this actually works. So for now, shall we just plug this into the computer and see, or should we plug this into the Android TV box? So friends, off camera, before even completely testing this thing, I actually opened this remote, and as you can see, I haven't even broken a single clip right here or here. So I have been really careful and took time. I went slow, but I was able to disassemble this thing without breaking even a little. So let's just open it and see. My intention here is actually to see how good the battery is actually. So I'm pretty sure this small screwdriver should work. Okay, that's it. It has only 2 screws. So let's just lift up. What is stuck right there? Here we are actually taking a closer look, and the most important thing is that there is only one IC in this thing, and right here there are so many spaces for the upgrades, I guess, and for the mics. Maybe here are the places for the LEDs. Here's a battery, no name, nothing. Maybe there might be something underneath, but I think we shouldn't really poke into these batteries because these are actually stuck quite hard. I tried pulling it out, but it wouldn't come, and I must be a little afraid to pull this thing up, to be honest, because these batteries weren't really that well made. After all, this is a $7 remote control, so we can't really trust these things. But the good news is these are definitely replaceable. You just disolder these things when they don't have any use left and solder a new battery in there. And definitely there aren't much complications in here, but the chip is definitely not a branded one. It's a Chinese clone, but that's the only adapter. That's great. It's just the only chip on this whole board that's actually monitoring everything. I think even the sensors were inside that chip alone. So if you compare this to the older MX3L remote, it has so many complications, so many ICs. I think it's really well made comparatively. This is a cheap one after all. As you can see, this is actually charging pretty well. So yeah, it's charging quite well, but I don't know why, but the amps are showing like all zeros currently. I don't know if this is a technical issue with this charger or with that remote. First, let's talk about the button layout, and here are the buttons: the minus, plus, back or home. We're going to talk about this button a little bit later, and the mouse mode, which switches between the mouse or the infrared mode, and this is hamburger menu button. These are your navigation button and enter or OK key. And here we have a full QWERTY keyboard, but look at the placement of these two right here, O and P. They should typically be right here, right after the I, but I think they really skipped on some buttons and managed the space right here. So we don't have so many symbols right here, which you should use the function key for. In most cases they do work, but some symbols are definitely missing out here. So finally, I do like the fact that this remote is actually well built for the price, and it's available in several colors to match your TV box, and the buttons are quite good. They feel quite good, even though the printing might come off quite early, but they have a good amount of raise to them, so you can actually feel them quite well, and they are tactile. So just plug that into the USB of that thing, and as you can see, this is actually working perfectly fine. I want to be just precise with this thing, and it does stay precise when I wanted it to be. I'm not saying that you can actually use this as a typical mouse, but I'm also checking this on my computer, as you can see, and it does work perfectly. Now let's just click and drag. See, it works perfectly. And it also has this feature right here that if we actually turn this thing, we just try to show this in front of the camera. So yeah, here we have it. I'm actually moving it, and it is moving it. So if we just turn this over right like this, the mouse will be stuck and it won't work, because now this is in actual keyboard mode, and you can actually type with it, but the mouse doesn't work unless you flip. As you can see, the mouse is right there, it doesn't work. But if you just flip this over, it works again. This is one of the best features that I think every Air mouse should have, and I think every mouse does have right now, Air mouse, because that's very important for the Android TV, if not for the computer. So I'm not planning on using this for my computer. I bought it just because it's cheap, and I might use this with my TV box when the old remote goes bad. I already did a teardown of that remote, so you can check that out. That's actually pretty well laid out, but let's head to the TV box right there. As you can see, I plugged this into my Android TV box, and it's actually working quite fine right here. As you can see, click and drag works. Moving to the left or to the right does work. and it doesn't have a mic, so we can't actually check the mic connection, but everything else is working quite fine. And let me just switch over to the keyboard and see how does that work. So yeah, I switched it over to the keyboard mode. I'm gonna type right now. So it does work, and everything does work. Let me check. The P is right here. So yes, everything is working as it should. One thing that I really like about this remote control is its IR mode. Right here is the infrared LED, which is quite tiny, much tinier than the ones that I have seen in many other remotes. And even though it's tiny, it actually works exceptionally well. And I'm saying this after testing this in such a weird angles. For example, if this is my TV box, this is my remote, most remotes would actually work only when they were in straight angle like this or like this, but this worked almost at 90 degrees, which is quite crazy. And even in this several angles, it just worked quite fine, and that's the most important part that I really like. But there is and the button layout is quite good, as I told you. It's actually the most minimalistic layout that you can find, but the most important thing that's missing in here is a dedicated home button. Right here, this works as a home button. It's supposed to work as a home button, but it doesn't. It only works as a back button, which means you're stuck with pressing the back button several times until you go back to your home. You can't just quit the application that you're in and just hit this button to go back to home, if you understand what I mean. You need, for example, you open several tabs in Chrome, you can't just hit this button to go back to your home screen. It just takes you to the back page. So if you want to go to the home button and the app does not support the little cross right here to close the application, then you need to press this thing like hell lot of times to go to your home screen, which is quite crazy if you ask me, and really frustrating. And it has everything that you would expect, but I still cannot wholeheartedly recommend this one, just for the reason that the back and home buttons were combined here. As much as I'd love to recommend this remote, but I really can't, even though it's very cheap, $7. It's just throwaway price for this, for its functionality, and also the fact that you don't really need to swap the batteries every now and then, because it got its own rechargeable battery inside. This is a steal deal, but this alone is keeping me from actually recommending this remote. So it's up to you if you want to buy this one, but I'm pretty sure it will be really frustrating to use the TV box without the proper dedicated home button. I wish they just kept the direct home button right here or somewhere, and it would be perfect. Also, if you want the backlit functionality, there is the one with that variant, so you can choose that variant if you want to. And also there is the one with a mic, so if you really don't want to use the keyboard, you can use the mic with that one. That is like $2 or $3 extra, but it's worth the price if you ask me. Sometimes mic is just way too convenient. And also the problem with this, as I told you, is this power button won't actually shut down your TV box. It will just take this to sleep mode. So if that's not your thing, you may want to stay away from this. So those are my thoughts, and I hope you like this review. If you do like, and if you're looking for more content like this, you can hit the subscribe button. I promise you that I won't really disturb you by uploading so many videos, because I even don't have so much time for that. So I will upload once I find something interesting like this. So thank you very much for watching. See you next time. Bye.